weekend. So what we have here is we have UFC Fight Night in Nashville. Back in Nashville, first time since 2023. I'm trying to think who headlined. It was Rob Font versus Sandhagen in 2023 in Nashville. Um, and then before that, I think it was 2012 since they'd been there. So it's been a minute since they've been to Nashville. Well, consistently. I mean, it's only been 2 years. But since 2012, only twice since then. So excited for this card. I mean, really, when we go through, I'm only going to go through the main card here and give my top picks for the main card. Not my top picks. I'm going to give my picks for the main card. Still, some fights I'm looking forward to, though, on the prelims that I won't get into. Mike Davis, that's going to be a fun fight. This is a good contender matchup for the heavyweight division, although don't think any of these guys are going to ever be like a top 5 talent, but still heavyweight division has been kind of stifled by John Jones. So seeing some prospect fights is refreshing in the heavyweight division. Chidi and Njokuani, I really love him. He's a Muay Thai style, loves to throw some elbows and knees. Always love that. It's going to cut up Jake, I'm sure. And Jake's good too. He likes to throw hands, so that always makes for an exciting fight. Eduarda Mora, second fight in the UFC from Dana White Contender Series, or third fight, I think. Dana White Contender Series product. She's going to probably do really well. Excited for her. And then Fatima Klein, also a pretty big debut for her. Chris Curtis, Max Griffin, not too. That's a feature prelim. Chris Curtis's name is what's getting him in that feature prelim. But when it comes to talent-wise, I'm not really too excited about that fight. Okay, it's good to know. All right, so kicking off the main card, we got Junior Tafa versus Tuco Tacos. Not really tacos, but tocos. What I like here is we have an underdog that I'm going to be betting on. So obviously, always going to plus money is always exciting. The reason why I even think this is on the main card, because Junior Tafa, in his previous fight, if we go to Junior Tafa, I'll click on him here. He's 6-3. He doesn't get out of it. He's only been to one decision his entire career. He's not really anything special. His previous fight, against Sean Sharif, it was absolutely pitiful in the round 2. They were at one point standing looking directly at one another, just hands down. They were so gassed that they couldn't even throw a punch. So, my bad. I'll make sure to keep it PG. My bad, guys. But, got a kids list. I put no for kids. I said it's not safe for kids. So, I know y'all probably lied about your age verification, but y'all got to get on that. That's on y'all. So, but no, Tafa is somebody who is the favorite here, but I think he's only on the main card purely because of his brother, Justin Tafa. The Tafa brothers are well known. So it brings people to the paper or to the main card, right? It's a name that people know. The fact that he got gassed in the second round against Sean Sheriff who's on short notice, and really, I think, dropped the first round. It's just there's not enough here for me to be too excited about with Tafa. I think Tokos is kind of being overlooked a little bit. Tokos works out at Killcliff FC. It's where Gregory Rodriguez works out. Big fan of him. They have some good kickboxing. But what people are going to see here is he's dropped his last 2, and that's in the UFC. He's 0-2 in the UFC. But what I want to keep in mind here is Umar C is flirting with the top 15 now. Huge prospect. Navajo Sterling is also someone who's well known and very, very tough fighter. So these aren't 2 losses that are making me think, oh my God, you lost to Navajo Sterling. No, these are solid fighters. So that doesn't bother me too much, especially because I know Junior Tafa isn't on Umar C or Navajo Sterling's level. So that doesn't bother me either. And I do keep that in mind. Something that does help me feel confident with Tuco here is his conditioning. He's went to the decision multiple times here, 4 times. He has power. He has some good counter shots. These guys, let's keep one thing straight. Neither of these guys are anything special. So it's not like this is a fight I'm going to be, rubbing my hands about and licking my lips. But it's a fun fight because it's not going past the second round. We know that much. So it may be safer to bet on the under, but that under is probably going to be a huge line anyway. Now, what I think, something else that is really key here, and I'm going to move on because I don't want to spend too much time on this one, is Tucos has a clear method and path to victory against Tafa. What Tucos can do is take Tafa down in the first round, which he has shown ground game, and Tafa has shown susceptibility to the ground game. So there's a clear path there. He uses his ground game, uses the control, even in the clinch. Wear Tafa out. Take his only weapon, which is his power. Take that away from him. Test his cardio again. And then in round 2, then stand up with Tafa. He's not posing a threat anymore. He's lost his biggest weapon. And then, I mean, if you want to take him down again, sure. But obviously, Tucos probably isn't in the greatest conditioning either. So then stand up on the feet. And I think from there, he can win this fight. So I have Tucos here. I do have Tucos. And that's exciting because he is an underdog. But that's what I have here, and that's why. So I like Tucos within the distance, probably by knockout, after having some solid control. Otherwise, I would go Tafa. You never know. Tafa may flatline him in the first round, so we'll see. But I think if he goes past the first round, it's Tucos' fight to lose. Okay, next we have Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Petrino he was touted as this prospect, 2 or 3 fights ago, and coming through the division, exciting fighter to watch, and he is. He has some serious power, big dude. He's moving up to heavyweight in this fight. This is his debut in heavyweight. That's something to keep in mind from light heavyweight. In the light heavyweight division, people say he got fraud checked by Anthony Smith. If you watch that fight, it's not quite fraud check. He was beating Anthony Smith on the feet, and then he decided to take down Anthony Smith, and that's when he got in a guillotine and tapped and he got submitted. Petrino, what that tells us is Petrino doesn't have a high fight IQ. But fortunately for us, or for him maybe, I don't know about for us, but for him, it doesn't matter against Austin Lane. Austin Lane is do not bet 500 on Lane. Austin Lane, he's probably the worst fighter on this card. Again, why? If he loses this fight, he's getting cut from the UFC. Even if he wins this fight, I would cut him from the UFC. I don't know what he's doing on the roster. I think he's 38. He's might as well be 38 years old. He's a former NFL player. I think he played for Detroit, Chicago. I think is who drafted him, and someone else. I don't know if y'all recognize that. What's interesting about Austin Lane, I will say this. Every time I dog on him, I'm like, this guy's dog shit. Why is he in the UFC? It's a disgrace to the organization. And then when he comes out in the first round, I'm like, oh shit, he's kind of improved. Maybe he's going to make me eat my words. Because he does, though, he has some heavy leg kicks. I will give that to him. And, he looks decently fast at that point. He's still athletic, obviously. He's in the UFC. He was an NFL player, etc. But then it's it just all goes down to shit before I can even really start to think of a defense for him and why I maybe thought, he reminds me very soon why I know that he's dog shit. So, he's been knocked out. Look at this, guys. Look at this. 13-6. How do you think 6 losses are? How do you think he's lost 6 times? Take a wild guess. How has he lost 6 times? Let me show you. Knockout. This dude is a walking glass chin. He's dead on his feet half the time. He's 1-3 in the UFC. He beat Robelis de Spain, who has already been cut from the UFC now. His other 3 fights, he's been knocked out 3 out of the last 4 fights. He just doesn't have a chin, right? Hell, maybe this is his first time, but what this is, though, to me, is this is a perfect fight for the UFC to say, okay, give him Vitor Petrino, because Vitor, like I said, is a touted prospect, right? He's only 27. We don't want this guy getting cut from the UFC. We want him, where the hell is his age? Here it is. Yeah, he's 27. I always think it's funny. I always look at these guys, I'm like, yeah, he's 32. He's only 1 year older than me. I don't look like him, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I just need to... maybe he has more testosterone than me or something. I don't know. But, He does not look 27 to me. Anyway, I guess he's almost 28. But anyway, this is how it is. The UFC is thinking about this as, okay, this guy is a good prospect. He's coming off 2 losses. So usually that third loss is where people start looking around saying, is this guy going to get cut or what? Unless he's, beat somebody really, really well known and people really like him or something to that nature. This isn't Vitor Petrino. So, he's had solid wins in the UFC, right? And he was on a 4-fight win streak. Then he got beat by Anthony Smith. Justin Jacoby is a good kickboxer. Should have beat him, I would say, but clearly didn't. So what are they doing? They're lobbing him this fight. They're lobbing him Austin Lane and saying, please, knock him out. Give us a highlight reel. We can cut Austin Lane, save 80 grand a fight, or probably like 30 grand for being honest. Whatever his show money is. It makes sense. It's a win-win. So I think I have Petrino here by knockout for sure. I think he should throw more. His fights, his other fights, he's been kind of not throwing as much as he should, but he does have heavy punches. Austin Lane is very slow. He's going to be the slower fighter. So no, Samantha, you cannot beat Lane. But I appreciate you starting to gain some confidence there, I guess. Or it could be also by a lousy decision. Petrino, because if he doesn't want to throw too much, Austin Lane could easily start working a jab or something and it just goes to a lousy, boring ass decision. So we'll see. Okay, next we have Nate the Train Landwehr from Clarksville, Tennessee. So this is the hometown boy of the card versus Morgan Chaudhary, the Frenchman, French prospect. The French love him because he's younger, one of their youngest prospects they have. He's also kind of like Petrino, touted as a huge prospect here. He hasn't really shown up yet, but yeah, Nate the Train. He's getting older, and he's looked pretty rough his last couple fights. He's a fun guy to bet on. So yeah, I mean, Nate the Train. He lives by his name. He walks forward like a train, and he does not stop. He does have a tough chin, which is why I'm taking this to the decision. Morgan, he's light on his feet. I think he'll be able to easily avoid and keep out of range of Nate. I think Nate's going to just bite down on his mouthpiece and move forward. He's probably going to take a lot of damage from Morgan. I wouldn't be surprised if this is another fight where Morgan can really have a masterclass performance. Because Morgan hasn't really shown anything spectacular just yet. I feel like it's waiting to happen. And so I think Morgan will keep his distance and piece him up. Nate, he's getting close to the end of his career here. I'm trying to think of anything else. I have my notes here. I'm trying to think of anything else that really stood out. His last fight against Choi, Choi got through the guard and really pieced him up. See here, yeah, Choi here. Ige is a good fighter, but he's just been kind of inconsistent of late, and being older, he doesn't. He's not going to be throwing anything at Morgan. This is the issue too. He's not throwing anything at Morgan that's going to really make him respect him. Even though he's walking forward, Morgan has to be in good conditioning and can't get complacent. But as long as he's keeping his footwork, circling the cage and stuff, he should be able to piece Nate up. I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan does feel good and has a good performance. He very well could put Nate out. But I just haven't seen anything from Morgan to this point. That's maybe leads me to think that he's going to knock Nate out, especially with someone who has a chin like Nate. So, give me Morgan by decision. Next up, we have Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Kattar's that big name, right? People know Kattar, but Kattar's coming off of a 4-fight losing streak. Has been a really rough stretch. I went back and watched. We were live there when me and Samantha saw Kattar against his previous fight at Apex earlier this year in February. He's fought Yusuf Zalal, and Zalal is a very, very up-and-coming prospect. Will probably fight for the title eventually at one point, or a title eliminator at some point, at the very least. So tough fight for him there, but he couldn't ever get close to him because he's looking on circling the cage. People almost complained that he was just running away the whole time, which I understand. But Kattar likes to he loves to box. And so he's going to stand there and walk towards Steve. That's what makes this an exciting fight, because Steve also likes to come forward and start early and often. So while Kattar's coming off 4 losses, Steve Garcia is a stylistic matchup that makes Kattar kind of intriguing here, because no longer is he going to have to chase his opponent. His opponent's coming to him. And styles make matchups, right? So this is going to be interesting, because also Garcia, and we ought to see this, Garcia is coming off almost the exact opposite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight knockout wins. And in these wins, we have Melky Costa, who I'm a big fan of. So that's a huge win, 2023. Melky Costa. And then Chase Hooper, which of course is 2022. Younger Chase Hooper, but still Chase Hooper nonetheless. So 5 KO wins in a row. That's really, really impressive. 14 wins by KO already in his career. 17-5. It's a very interesting matchup because, again, it's going to play into Calvin's favor. He's going to be walking towards Calvin, and Calvin's only been knocked out once. So it's tough. He is 37, so that is something that does concern me as well, considering Garcia is the younger fighter here, coming up through the ranks pretty rapidly. Of course, that's what happens when you knock 5 people out in a row. So I like Steve here. I'm going to put Steve, even though that I wouldn't be surprised if Kattar has a better performance than what his recent performances have shown. I just like Steve here. He has the momentum. He's probably the more confident fighter at this point. The other thing that is interesting is Garcia's weakness is on the ground. He has been controlling the ground. Kattar's not going to the ground. Kattar's going to keep it on the feet. So that's not going to be an issue for Garcia here. So that's going to be an issue. One last thing of the reason why I'm taking Garcia here by knockout. When Kattar fought at 300, he fought Aljamain Sterling. Of course, Aljamain Sterling is a different level than Garcia, but Garcia's striking, I would argue, is better than Sterling's. Sterling is a wrestler, but Sterling's looping hooks were getting in between or around Kattar's guard. Because Calvin likes to have a high guard, leaves his body exposed a little bit, but also around that guard, he can get around it, or you can get around his guard, and Aljamain did. And Garcia loves to throw looping hooks. Garcia throws with bad intentions, and everything about Garcia is complete go mode. And that's what makes him an exciting fighter. His ground and pound is very solid too. If he does find himself on the ground. So that makes, I think, a recipe for Garcia's success. Although Garcia's style will make it easier for Kattar to start getting off on his own shots. But I think Garcia, being younger, had the more momentum, was going to take this. So give me Garcia by knockout. Although Kattar has not been knocked out that much, still give me Kattar by knockout. Or not Kattar by knockout, Garcia by knockout. All right. In our co-main event, we have Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Gabriel Bonfim. Bonfim's another guy that me and Samantha were able to see live at Apex. We got to see both brothers. We got the Bonfim brothers. Ishmael is the other one who's coming off a loss to Nazim Sadikov, which is that same fight we saw. But Gabriel, 17-1 here, 27 years old, fighting the well-known fan favorite Wonderboy Thompson. He's 42 now. His previous fight, I believe, was against Joaquin Buckley. Yes, it was. He's cut off 2 losses. Now, keep in mind, Shavkat, some people think he's the soon-to-be champion of the welterweight division. Maybe not anymore with Islam moving up, but still a very, very threatening contender in the welterweight division, so no shame in that loss. Joaquin Buckley, kind of similar, not to the level of Shavkat, Joaquin did lose his previous fight. But Joaquin, the Joaquin fight, he looked sharp on the feet. I think they were going into that third round 1-1, which was really impressive. Um, Joaquin Buckley, his stand up is decent, but Wonder Boy really had a masterclass on Buckley, kind of moving out of the way of those dangerous shots and keeping his distance, getting back to his feet in that fight when he was taken down. And that's going to be key in this fight because Gabriel Bonfim is a submission artist or submission specialist, you could say. He has 13 wins by submission. Not too much of a knockout artist, but he does have 3 wins there. So he's definitely going to be trying to get to the ground and try to submit Wonder Boy. He did have a choke to Chaos Williams. He's another good striker. Not necessarily not very similar to Thompson. Thompson's a lot more calculated than Chaos. But Steven's coming off. I'm going back and forth here, but to kind of give you the way these options for you, he's also coming off Murderer's Row, per his words. Hell, Jeff Neal, Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, the former champ, and then Kevin Holland, and then Shavkat, and then Joaquin. They've been feeding him to the wolves, essentially, right? Gabriel Bonfim's going to be probably like a breath of fresh air for him. No slouch, 17-1 prospect, but not necessarily to those calibers that he's been facing. So if he can keep it on the feet, I think Wonder Boy can win this fight. I really do. I really think Wonder Boy can win this fight if he keeps it on the feet. But that's a big if, right? Bonfim, people may forget he likes to trade as well. I don't think he will want to do that with Wonder Boy because I think he can easily, squeak out these rounds if you want to set up and trade with Wonder Boy. He has his karate stance, kind of hard to get up in on him, but Bonfim likes to throw, man. He's explosive. So while I like Wonder Boy, I'm going to go with Bonfim here by submission because I do think that he's younger, more explosive, probably going to be stronger here. Wonder Boy did lose to Shavkat by submission. Not saying that Bonfim is the same level as Shavkat by submission, but I think his ground game could be the same level as Shavkat's. So give me Bonfim by submission here. I know that's a pretty of a safe pick or kind of casual pick maybe, but I think it's the right pick. All right, for our main event of the evening, we have Derek the Black Beast Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira. I don't know how to say his nickname, so apologies. Betting lines here have been pretty consistent. He's a plus 1,800 first round KO. If that's true, that is a fantastic bet in my opinion. Because why bet? This is how I see it. Why bet the money line on Derek if really the only way to victory for him is probably going to be KO first or second round? Let's go to Derek. Let's just look at Derek's KOs. How many do y'all think out of his knockouts? I don't know how many because if I go look, then I think it's around 23 knockouts because he has the most in the UFC. I think it's around 23 knockouts. How many do you think come in the first round? That's my question for you. How many of y'all think he has? Nine knockouts in the first round. So that is going to be, let me check this. That's something that's obviously not the majority. So maybe first, second round KO, maybe better. Because these are where the majority are. He does have 6 in the third. God, I actually figured he had more KOs in the first round. Typically, that's what you're going to find. But I do like this here because I do think it goes. Let me kind of rephrase this. The reason why I like Derek in the first round, not only because he has a lot of knockouts in the first round, but you're obviously going to have the most power in the first round, right? Kind of going similar back to Tafa. If you can get him out of that first round, his power dwindles tremendously. Derek, obviously, his power is consistent per his stats, but I think Taliesin is also going to be the favorite to get a knockout here within the 3 rounds or 2 rounds. So, Taliesin likes to put on the pressure. He likes to try to find his flow state. He did against the other brother of Tafa, Justin Tafa. So that's his other fight. Texture doesn't have nearly as much experience, so I don't know how that may play into this. He's only 25. Um, Derek says he feels good. Derek looks good. He looks skinny. Um, he's already been in Nashville for a week to make sure he maintains his weight, is what he said in his previous interview. Um, I don't mind the Derek's first or second round knockout, because obviously he's not going to submission. Obviously he's not going to go to the decision. So if you're going to do money line, do first or second round knockout, and that's an amazing bet, in my opinion. If you think if you want to bet on Derek, right? Um, Unfortunately, I do think Towson is going to take this away. He's kind of that new generation of heavyweights coming through. They're fast, they're big, they're dynamic. I think that Towson, this is his fight to lose, because the UFC again is putting him in this spot to help make a name of himself off Derek Lewis. At the end of the day, that's the reality of it. Now, Derek's been in this spot before. He's been the underdog in a lot of fights. I was looking at that when I was making an edit for Derek, and he's been an underdog in a lot of fights. So don't let that scare you away if you want to bet on Derek. But I do think that Towson will take this away. I think he'll be able to keep his range, and that's really tough for Derek, because Derek has to get in close. Think about that Volkov fight where he came back and won. He had trouble getting within that range into the last round. So maybe he learned from that. Hopefully he did. And he can get in close and really put it on Towson, because Towson probably has never faced anyone with the level of power Derek, obviously. So, very interesting matchup. I'm definitely going to under 2 rounds. Under 1.5 probably would be the betting line, obviously. And it's probably going to be minus 130 or 150 or something to that nature. But you never know. I mean, it could be one of those fights where you do the under half a round, right? I mean, that'd be a fun bet. And maybe get better numbers on that. But yeah, that's my picks for this card. First live stream here was kind of difficult. We'll figure this out eventually and get this better. But I think it's an underrated card. Don't think that we don't have any superstars per se other than Derek on the card that really stand out. But a solid card. I've seen worse. Of course, it's the fight night. So anyway, hope y'all enjoyed, and I'm going to figure out how to close this out. Some of y'all are probably going to be here with me until I stop it. Looks like I can do it right here. So, alright guys, I'll see y'all later.